Welcome to this Mindful Monday. This is Monday morning as we're recording. Who knows when it will be streamed into the Facebook group? Who knows? The last two are still yet to be streamed. They might be streamed across this week. But whenever you're watching this, it's fine. We just record it on a Monday, and you are welcome to come along to the Zoom room. You can sign up on the website or in the Facebook group. And on a Monday, we have centering, a check-in, which we don't record, a bit of embodiment exploration, a juicy topic today, and a guided meditation practice. So to start, we'll have a little centering to let us land in our bodies and remember what we are. We are a body. We are not just being carried around by a body. So following the ABC. A is awareness. Notice the space that you're in, perhaps sounds in the distance, maybe outside and nearby. Notice the things that you can see, familiar objects, familiar sights. Just being aware, more aware of the space. We tend to ignore what we're used to seeing. Notice any smells or tastes. And then notice your feet on the ground and your body resting on furniture. The temperature of the air on your skin. The touch of clothing. And then take awareness inwards. And notice how you feel today, in this moment. How am I as a body, as a whole? Perhaps there's areas of tension or emotions sitting in the body, calling your awareness a little more strongly. Perhaps you can have a bit more awareness of somewhere that you don't normally pay attention to. Then take awareness to your breath, noticing the natural cycle. And perhaps also noticing that awareness of the breath sometimes changes the breath. Maybe you soften it, slow it, deepen it. B is for balance. So have a little rock back and forth, side to side, up and down. Find that sweet spot of least effort. And notice how your body supports your body. The ground supports your body. Furniture supports your body. See if you can bring some balance to the breath. Maybe shifting it slightly so you breathe in and out equally. If that's uncomfortable, making sure that the exhale is a little longer than the inhale. Not holding the breath, not retaining it. A, awareness. B, balance. C is for core. Softness without collapse. So bringing softness across the forehead, around the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw. Have a little waggle of the jaw. The neck, shoulders, chest and belly. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine. Exhale and let that breath go as you soften. A, B, C, second C for connection. You might want to have a little look at the screen if you're in the Zoom room and see some faces smiling back. You might wish to bring to mind a person or a pet, someone, something that makes you smile, makes you feel warm, past, present, or future. And then let that go. Have a little shimmy. And notice how you feel. Notice if you feel any different. Notice if your body needed or wanted or benefited from a little centering this morning. I actually had one of my adult children contact me today in a bit of a flap because something had happened. And I said, inhale for 2, exhale for 4. Hand on heart, hand on belly, inhale for 2, exhale for 4. And they said, do I hold the breath at the top? No, don't hold the breath at the top. That can make us so anxious when we retain breath. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the book is bringing us today, and then we're going to pause and have a check-in, and then we'll explore. You see that? Disappointment. Later today in the Facebook group, I will post a clip from A Fish Called Wanda. It's well known in our family. I love this clip, and it's where, is it Otto? It's Otto the thief. Otto opens, or Jamie Lee Curtis opens the safe, and Otto is behind, and the diamonds, or whatever it is, are gone. And Otto, I've probably got the name wrong, Otto says, disappointed. And we like it. It's just one of those family things. We sometimes send it to each other. So we'll come back to disappointment, because disappointment is one of those natural things that occurs on a fairly regular basis in life. So we'll explore it and maybe look at what we can do with it. I'm going to have a little check-in in the Zoom room. So I'm going to pause the recording and we will be back with you in just a moment. Some lovely check-ins in the Zoom room there. And there's definitely a sense of sluggishness around at the moment. August is proving to be a little bit of a disappointment. It's not. I think we were spoilt. In the UK, we were spoilt last summer. Last summer, there were long summer days. And in fact, it was too warm at time, because we're very bad in the UK. We're very bad at complaining about the weather, whatever it is. It's either too hot or it's too cold or it's too wet. But there were balmy days. There were nights where you couldn't possibly sleep, or I couldn't, without a fan. And I've still got the fan on at the moment because I like the noise of it, but I'm under blankets as well. But this summer keeps promising a bit of warm weather and it doesn't last. And so there is a bit of a sense of disappointment. Okay, disappointment. We were discussing, one of the things that came up is anybody who has health challenges. Well, to be fair, it's the whole human race, but anybody with health challenges is particularly familiar with disappointment, because the predictably unpredictable issues that arise mean that we cancel things, mean that we can't do things. And that brings so many emotions, including guilt, by the way, but disappointment is in there as well. So, disappointment. Etymological root, because I can now say that. I can't read it. From the French, to undo the appointment, remove from office. Interesting. So it almost links with cancellation. It removes the positive emotion, in fact, doesn't it? What we think or say. Now, before I go through this further, I would like to invite you to say the word disappointment to yourself, or bring to mind an event or something that's happened recently that's caused, or something that hasn't happened that's caused disappointment, and notice that in your body. Notice how disappointment feels in your body and where it feels. Do you open and expand? Do you sink and close? Are you forward or do you withdraw? Just notice any of the emotions that come up with disappointment in your body as you. Then we'll go back to the book. So what we think or say, this isn't what I expected. The impact on openness to others, it closes us, and it does. I feel a withdrawal, a sinking. Perhaps in the Zoom room, you won't see this on the recording, but I will see it. Perhaps you could show what disappointment looks like in your body if you were exaggerating it. Is it an invitation? Oh, nice. There's some good faces went along with that. Yeah. There's a lot of sinking. Okay, how about reversing that for a moment and having delight? Yeah. Just to bring us back up a little bit. Okay. Our reaction to look for the disconnect, related emotions, sadness, dismay and surprise. I don't know that I automatically link disappointment with surprise. I suppose that's interesting. Perhaps it is generally linked with surprise. Perhaps in the context of chronic illness, there is a lack of surprise because it's familiar. We have a regular relationship with disappointment. Or maybe that's just me. Its purpose to align our expectations with reality. Oh, harsh. That is harsh, isn't it? The orientation is in the past because it's kind of a loss. Something has gone. How it can get in the way. Disappointment is often interpreted as meaning there is something wrong. Depends what the disappointment is about, doesn't it? And from where we look for someone other than us to blame, again, it depends on the context, because in this group or the group with people with health challenges, I think we often look at ourselves as for blame, or the thing, the illness, the lack of spoons. Disappointment results in our expectation being misaligned with reality. And that's it. It's the seeing something and the planning something and it going poof and it's taken away. Emotions we confuse it with resignation. Yeah, it's got a stronger feel than that. Disappointment means that something we looked forward to is not going to happen as we thought. Resignation is the belief that nothing we do will make any difference. And we are not resigned to a long-term disappointment. We might be occasionally for a short period, but with a bit of centering and a bit of social regulation in this group, we bring that back. So how it feels or moves us, it confirms reality and changes our expectations. Our body might feel sluggish and slow. Our breath might have sighs or deep sighs. Our shoulders might drop. Chest might close. So, thinking of disappointments in your own body, noticing how that makes you feel, and noticing how sometimes we want to shift that. Sometimes we need to embrace it for a little while. It's a reality to be disappointed, but sometimes we can shift it. We can lift ourselves. We can open. And perhaps the question is, what are the ways that you deal with disappointment? What are the ways or the things that you do to shift that emotion, to acknowledge it, to accept it, but to move on? from it? What are the ways that you do that? I'm just going to pause the recording for a moment and see if there's any thoughts in the Zoom room, and I will come back to you. Oh, some lovely comments there in the Zoom room, and some real acknowledgement of the difference in disappointment if somebody else has to cancel something and we have to miss it, or we, particularly as a group of people with health challenges, has to cancel something. And the response, the disappointment itself is not the issue, it is the response to the disappointment. And quite a number of us are very much, oh, it's no problem, it's fine. Possibly even, oh, thank goodness, because I'm exhausted anyway, to somebody else cancelling something. But to ourselves doing it, it can be a sense of berating ourselves. And again, we come back to the need for, and it was put very well in the Zoom room, mindful self-compassion. Reminding ourselves it's okay, reminding ourselves that these things will happen and we can do other things, having other options that are smaller. It is the response that we can shift if we have awareness, because that's what it comes down to, having an awareness and making a choice in what we do and how we respond. Disappointment is perfectly reasonable. Berating ourselves is less helpful. It's very difficult to not do, by the way. If you do it, don't think that, oh, I'm doing it all wrong. It's about noticing that and then bringing in some mindful self-compassion, some self-love, a hug, some self-care, anything. Yeah, a bit of hugging going on in the Zoom room. So with that in mind, we've talked a lot today. I haven't stood up and I'm not going to. We are going to have a guided meditation. So I would like you, whether you're in the Zoom room or listening to the recording, to be comfortable. Get into the position that you want to be in. Do not be disappointed in yourself if really you want to snuggle down under covers and pull up a nice warm blanket and feel cocooned and cared for. And you can soften your gaze or close your eyes. Do whatever feels good. And as we go through this meditation practice, I encourage you to come back and notice repeatedly different parts of your body and soften them. The belly, the chest, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the breath. You may wonder how you can soften the breath, but if you try it, perhaps you can. So take awareness through the body, starting with the head, and perhaps sensing the head expand and soften with the breath. Noticing that maybe a lot of disappointment begins in the head, or our response to it begins in the head, with thoughts being triggered. And maybe the breath brings some nourishment and some self-care with expansion and softness right through the head. Some openness and ease through the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw. And then notice and soften the belly, the chest, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the breath. And taking awareness down to the legs and the feet, the opposite end of the body. And noticing your response to that suggestion. It might not follow what your expectation. Notice what happens in your legs and your feet with any hint of disappointment. Whether it brings tension or quickening or collapse. And perhaps imagine the breath nourishing the legs and the feet, bringing openness and softness. And notice the belly, the chest, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the breath. Shifting awareness up to the arms, the length of each arm and the hands, each finger and each thumb. And sensing or imagining what happens in the arms when you experience disappointment. Perhaps there's tightening, tension, gripping. See if you can bring extra openness and softness, imagining the breath filling the arms and the hands, bringing nourishment and care. And notice the belly, the chest, palms of the hands, soles of the feet, and the breath. Moving awareness to the belly and the pelvis. Noticing sensations here that might be linked to disappointment. What you feel here when you experience disappointment. Perhaps a tightening, a closing. And perhaps you can imagine the breath filling the belly and the pelvis, bringing nourishment, self-kindness, compassion, softness, and ease. And notice the belly, the chest, palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the breath. Shifting awareness to the chest, the heart of the body. Noticing here how disappointment sits, or the reaction to disappointment. Perhaps there is quickening of the heart, tightening of the chest. Perhaps you can imagine the breath spreading through the chest, through the lungs and the heart, bringing nourishment, softness, openness, ease, self-compassion. And notice the belly, the chest, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the breath. Bringing awareness to the whole body. And perhaps imagining or sensing or noticing where disappointment sits in the body as a whole. or the response to the disappointment. That might be self-directed blame, causing contraction and tension. And perhaps here you can invite softness and ease. The breath filling the whole of the body, bringing nourishment, bringing self-compassion, bringing self-kindness, spreading through the whole of the body, expanding with openness and softening with ease. And notice the belly, the chest, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the breath. Perhaps you can imagine the whole body wrapped in self-care, wrapped in self-kindness, wrapped in deep self-compassion, bathed with the breath, nourished. And let your awareness rest in the whole body here for the next couple of minutes. Awareness of the whole body, wrapped and bathed in self-compassion, self-kindness, self-love. Noticing the belly, the chest, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the breath. An invitation to take a little extra self-compassion forward into your day. And each time we meet an obstacle or a disappointment, noticing the response that might happen. And then perhaps taking a hug or hand to heart, hand to belly. Taking an extra little squeeze. Reaching the end of this practice, take any movements you need. Perhaps a stretch. Perhaps an extra hug. And either stay exactly where you are or, as you're ready, slowly let go of the practice and come back to where we began. Thank you for joining us if you're watching the recording. I'm going to stop the recording now and check in with the people in the Zoom room, and we will see you soon.